All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a massive corporate update from arguably the most talked about company on the planet. But, to really wrap our heads around Tesla's Q1 2026 numbers, we actually need to start with a pretty surprising scientific fact. It's kind of the perfect way to frame the sheer scale of what we're looking at.
So over in the realm of physics, a Tesla is actually the standard unit of magnetic flux density, right? It literally represents an invisible pulling force, a magnetic field, named after the brilliant engineer Nikola Tesla, of course. It's how scientists measure the raw strength of a magnet. Basically, when you hear the word Tesla in a lab, you are hearing a measurement of gravity, momentum, and just this undeniable physical pull.
Now, to put that kind of force into perspective, get this, a magnetic field strength of 16 Teslas. That is actually enough to levitate a live frog. Seriously, there are physics researchers who literally won an Ig Nobel Prize for doing exactly this back in 2000. 16 Teslas creates what's called diamagnetic levitation of the water right inside a frog's body tissues. It is just an absolutely stunning amount of physical force.
So, using this whole concept of magnetic gravity and momentum, we got to ask the big question. Just how much force is the company Tesla generating in Q1 2026? I mean, as they aggressively pivot from being, just a traditional automaker into this massive artificial intelligence and tech giant, how strong is the gravitational pull of their business model right now? Well, let's look at the hard data and find out.
Part 1. Q1 2026 Financial Snapshot. Let's start with the financial gravity pulling this whole thing together, because the sheer scale here is honestly staggering. Tesla pulled in $22.4 billion, and that's billion with a B, in total revenue in just the first quarter of 2026 alone. That is a solid 16% year-over-year growth. So despite a really complex global market, their core automotive, energy, and services sectors just keep expanding globally, literally pulling massive amounts of capital straight into their ecosystem.
Now, while that 16% revenue growth is great, the real kicker is that bottom row. They experienced a massive 117% year-over-year jump in free cash flow. We are talking a leap from $664 million to over $1.4 billion. Income from operations absolutely skyrocketed too, up 136%. The big takeaway for you here? Tesla is generating some serious liquid cash, and that is absolutely crucial to securely fund their incredibly expensive research and development pipelines.
Part 2. The AI and software brain. And all that financial capital we just talked about, it's directly funding this massive pivot. Take a look at the newly online Cortex-2 AI cluster down at Gigafactory, Texas. They are pouring money into physical compute infrastructure. This right here is literally where the brain of their operation gets trained. They're ramping up tens of thousands of processors just to run training workloads for their future neural networks. So, they aren't just writing code anymore. They are building the giant physical supercomputers required to actually make that code smart.
All of this raw compute power directly fuels their full self-driving, or FSD, supervised software. And version 14.3 recently rolled out with some huge under-the-hood upgrades. They've completely rewritten the AI compiler, which actually resulted in a 20% drop in inference latency. To put that in plain English, the car's brain is reacting 20% faster to whatever its cameras are seeing. Plus, they've upgraded the system to handle those unpredictable long-tail edge cases and see way sharper in low-visibility conditions. Now this really reveals their ultimate competitive mode. When you compare the cumulative real-world driving data they've gathered on their newer end-to-end neural net architecture, that's V12 and beyond, versus the older V11 code, the spike is just absolute. The sheer volume of data getting fed back into that Cortex-2 supercomputer from millions of cars driving out in the real world, it completely dwarfs everything that came before it. This data engine is literally the fuel that accelerates their whole development.
Part 3. Cybercabs and robotics.
So Tesla's momentum is now pulling that AI directly onto our streets. We're not just talking about theoretical sci-fi future products anymore. As of April, Tesla officially launched unsupervised robotaxi rides in Dallas and Houston, and they're expanding their existing setup in Austin. In just the first quarter, the number of cumulative paid robotaxi miles nearly doubled sequentially. The autonomous ride-hailing business model, it is officially online, and it is bringing in revenue.
But behind all this automation hardware is still a massive human effort. Just look at this team down in Texas celebrating the start of pilot production for the Cybercab. This is the vehicle specifically designed from the ground up for the robotaxi fleet, and Tesla expects volume production to kick off this year.
And the crazy part? Over time, they actually anticipate the Cybercab will replace the Model Y as the largest volume vehicle in their entire fleet.
And simultaneously, they're using all that manufacturing muscle to break ground on entirely new industries. Just take a look at this massive site preparation at Gigafactory Texas. They are moving serious dirt to create a second-generation factory line for their Optimus humanoid robot. And the scale they're aiming for here is honestly breathtaking. This facility is being designed for an eventual long-term production capacity of 10 million Optimus robots every single year.
Part 4. Powering Amazing Abundance.
So when you combine that level of AI intelligence with massive automotive manufacturing, what's the ultimate goal? Well, beyond the vehicles and the robots, they're laying the groundwork for a massive global energy infrastructure. Because let's face it, you can't have millions of electric cars and robots without the power to charge them, right? So Tesla is aggressively ramping up new battery material factories, like their LFP cells in Nevada. They're prepping for Megapack 3 production in Texas for huge grid storage. And crucially, they just grew their global supercharger network by another 19% year over year. They are making sure the infrastructure is actually there to support this entire ecosystem.
And really, this all culminates in a newly stated mission for the future. The company's very actively communicating a huge pivot here. They're evolving from generating profits just through one-time hardware sales into generating long-term accelerating profits through AI, software, and fleet-based services. In fact, they explicitly state in their Q1 report that their ultimate goal is to realize a mission of what they are calling amazing abundance.
So remember how we started this explainer by talking about the Tesla? You know, that physical unit of magnetic pull that can literally levitate a frog? Well, knowing the incredible force the company Tesla is generating right now across automotive manufacturing, AI supercomputing, autonomous ride-hailing, and humanoid robotics in Q1 2026, we are left with one really provocative question to ponder. As this massive ecosystem just keeps expanding, what legacy industry is going to be pulled into their disruptive orbit next? Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive.